rage. Never let it go.
Welcome back to Just a Guy Reviews. I'm Sulla, and today I have a double feature for you guys. I will be reviewing both Wicked and Gladiator II, two movies that came out around Thanksgiving weekend and was really trying to be pushed as the 2024 Barbenheimer, a movie for the guys, movie for the girls, and maybe they'll both help each other out in the box office. It's kind of become known on the internet as Glicked, and I'll be going over which of the two I think won the release weekend. Let's get into it. First, let's get into Gladiator II, directed by Ridley Scott, who of course did the original Gladiator that released back in the year 2000. Gladiator II is starring up-and-comer Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, Denzel Washington, and is returning Connie Nielsen, reprising her role as Sulla. This overall, I definitely enjoyed myself at the movie. I definitely think it was a good movie. Outside of the CGI, that was easily some of the worst I saw all year. The sharks were laughable. There was a really, really bad CGI monkey that Paul Mescal had to fight that I would love to see the behind the scenes of that. It must have looked like the goofiest thing ever. But I had really high hopes for this one because I think Gladiator is damn near a perfect movie. I rewatched it again after Gladiator 2, just because I was a little disappointed with this, so I'm not gonna lie. It almost seemed like Ridley Scott didn't really care, which I think one of the people on his staff actually came out and said. It was like he was on autopilot basically the whole shooting. He would do one thing, say, whatever, it's fine, and then move on to the next thing. It was too long for the story they were telling, and was also just really predictable, which isn't always a bad thing. But even at one point, I went to the bathroom during the theater. Some guy in my screening, I guess, basically followed me, and in the bathroom was like, "Man, I really wish I didn't see the first one because I can now just predict what's happening beat for beat in this movie." And there's a little bit of revisionist history in this movie where they just take shots from the original movie and put it in, and it just means something completely different, something that it obviously didn't mean in the original. It was, like I said, it was still a good movie. I think Paul Mescal was way over his head. This is definitely his first massive blockbuster and leading man performance in this way. Of course, he's in stuff like All of Us Strangers, After Sun. He's a very good actor, but he, as of right now in his career, he's definitely more of an indie guy than he is blockbuster, because he seemed almost subdued. He didn't have that same gravitas that Russell Crowe had in the original, because every time Russell Crowe had one of his scenes, you were just glued to the screen. You had to see what he was going to say. I don't know if it was because the writing was pretty subpar that Mescal didn't have that "Are you not entertained?" or "I'm the father of a murdered son, husband of a murdered wife" kind of scenes. It just didn't really work until Denzel Washington shows up, and every time he's on screen, you have to see what he's doing. Denzel steals this movie. He's the biggest star on screen, even overshadows Pedro Pascal, who has become a huge star in his own right. But Denzel just commanded every second he was on the screen. Every time he was on screen with someone else, it was like watching Michael Jordan play one-on-one with Jordan Poole. It just wasn't fair. This guy was doing everything right. He's going to get nominated for Best Supporting Actor. In my eyes, he should probably win. And he made this movie so much better than it had any right to be. Because, like I said, the writing, subpar. Mescal, not that great. Ridley seemed pretty disinterested in this movie as a whole. I don't know, but the movie did end up making, as of today, December 20th, $400 million, which is definitely a win. It's definitely going to make more over the upcoming Christmas weekend, most likely. But overall, I did give it a 78 out of 100 because I was entertained, but I was overall disappointed. It was a lot like with Alien Romulus, a sequel to another Ridley Scott movie. It I expected so much more from the franchise, especially this one with Ridley Scott coming back. The cast it has, I expected more, which is why I sound so like defeated by this movie. I just expected a movie that I would give in the high 80s or even low 90s, because that's what the first one was like. Definitely on me to think that. I mean, like I said, 78 out of 100. It was still a good movie. I still enjoyed it. I'm probably never going to watch it again. I'm probably always just going to go back to the original if I'm going to return to this franchise. But overall, it was a good movie, but not what I wanted. Next, let's get into Wicked 2, directed by John M. Chu and starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, with supporting roles from Michelle Yeoh, who just won Best Actress a couple years ago for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Jeff Goldblum, who is in my favorite movie of all time. So this movie, they did not market it as a part one, which was probably the wrong move. Everyone knew it was obviously going to be a musical. It was a Broadway musical on stage, and that's what they're really adapting it from, not so much from the novel. Because if you were on TikTok around when this movie came out, you would know it's not like the novel. And don't let your kids read the novel. But overall, this was a movie I did not expect to like, because I'm not a big musical fan. I'm not a big Ariana Grande fan. And I just didn't know really how this story makes sense in the world of Wizard of Oz. I actually have seen the Broadway play, and I remember really, really liking it. But if you're, tapped in enough to movie news and everything, you knew this was going to be a part one. So you go, part one. And then you look it up again. You go, wow, 2 hours and 40 minutes. The play is 2.5 hours. And they're breaking it up into two parts. Like, how is that going to work? And to me, not well. This movie was way too long for what it was. I didn't love the songs. I thought the singing was great. I thought Cynthia Erivo was a fantastic singer, fantastic actress. Ariana Grande, I thought was fine. I don't think she was as great as everyone seems to think. But again, that's just me. And of course, Ariana Grande can sing, one of the biggest pop stars in the world. But I didn't think the songs were all that good. I heard them way too many times on TikTok that I got tired of them immediately. I could easily go the rest of my life without hearing Popular again. Defying Gravity is a good song that for some reason John M. Chu decided we're going to make this a 15-minute long scene in the movie. And it made the song worse. If you listen to the soundtrack version, very enjoyable. Not something I will really be returning to, but enjoyable. So there were just a few decisions that I was like, why? Why are they doing this? And it didn't look good for a pseudo legacy prequel to The Wizard of Oz, one of these movies that everyone, me myself included, are like one of the best looking movies of all time, especially for coming out in the 1930s. I rewatched it again before Wicked, and I was like, how did they do this with the technology that they had at the time? It was like mind-bending. But this was just like, yep, I've seen this before. There's nothing new going on here. I thought the writing was kind of bad as well. But who am I? Because this movie made, as of today, about $534 million. People seem to love it. It has an 8.0 on IMDb, 4.0 on Letterboxd. The Rotten Tomatoes audience is 95%, and the critics at 88%. People love this movie. It's a phenomenon, and I get it to an extent. I think a lot of it is if you're on pop Twitter at all, Ariana Grande fans are out of their minds and will just praise anything this woman is in while destroying everything else around just to pick up Ari. It's insane to me. And for the most part, for that, there was one part in the movie that stood out to me. I think about it all the time, and it's not good. It's There's a scene where it just starts raining, and Michelle Yeoh goes up to Elphaba, the Wicked Witch character, and puts a umbrella over her, says "Can't get you wet," and she can control the weather, and she like waves her hand at the sky to make the clouds go away, and the clouds maybe move like a foot, and the rain just stops. I thought it was one of the worst visual effects I had seen in years. It's not worse than the CGI monkeys from Gladiator II, but boy, was I like, what the fuck was that? Why did that just happen? It was so bad. But that's all the negatives. And like I said, Cynthia Erivo was great. The singing was great. I did enjoy it overall. I will never watch it again. I can wait a long time for part 2. I'm not like sitting here going, oh my God, I can't wait. Like, I can't wait for Dune Messiah. Like, I saw this is why I think I'm being a bigger hater than this movie deserves. And it's because people are treating Wicked like it's the best movie of the year. It's going to be nominated for Best Picture. There's a real chance it wins. And even the National Board of Review already gave John M. Chu Best Director and Wicked Best Picture. And I'm losing my mind because there's no way when you compare what these movies, compare Wicked to Dune 2, there's just no comparison at all. The directing was better in Dune. The acting was better in Dune. The visuals were better in Dune. Everything about Dune was better in every way. And if you are just not a sci-fi person and you get confused in the story, I totally get it. It's a very, very dense story. I'm not saying you have to be smart to get it. I only get it because I read the books. Well, cool, I read the books. But it's from every aspect, except for maybe that it's not a happy go get him story, hero's journey, Dune. It's a better movie. And the fact that Wicked is getting all this attention, is getting not even the attention, all this praise when it's a mess, not well directed, the acting's fine, and everything is just astonishing to me. Overall, I gave Wicked a 74 out of 100, 4 points lower than Gladiator 2. But Gladiator 2 is made for me. I'm a 28-year-old dude. I like watching gladiators fight on screen. I like seeing stuff in Rome. I like all of that. Wicked was not made for me. I don't like watching two witches sing. I'm not a big musical guy. But overall, I do think Wicked ends up winning the weekend. Obviously, it made $140 million more. It's a sensation on TikTok. You can't, maybe not anymore, but 2-3 weeks ago, you couldn't scroll 5 TikToks without hearing a song from Wicked. So overall, it's definitely the winner. Wicked 2 is going to do even more business. It's going to make so much money, and it's going to get nominated for Best Picture. John M. Chu might get nominated for Best Director, which is going and might give me an aneurysm, but it's definitely the winner. Gladiator 2 is not going to sniff a lot of the awards, maybe under the line awards for visuals and sound and stuff like that. But overall, Wicked, despite me liking it a little less than Gladiator 2, is definitely the winner of that release weekend. But let me know what you thought. Did you like Wicked more than Gladiator 2? Do you agree with me that the other one is better? Who do you think won overall in that weekend? Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more movie reviews. I'm Matt Sulla. Peace.